Hello, and welcome to 10-Minute Podcast Series on the School of Buddha, a podcast dedicated to exploring the wisdom of Buddhism and how it can illuminate our daily lives. I'm excited to start this journey with you by diving into the foundational story, teachings, and relevance of Buddhism today. In this episode, we'll explore the origin of Buddhism through the life of Siddhartha Gautama, the man who became known as the Buddha, and his journey from prince to enlightened teacher. We'll break down the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, and see how these timeless principles apply to modern challenges. As we go through these teachings, you'll have opportunities to reflect on their relevance in your own life and to try out practical exercises inspired by the Buddha's path. Let's start at the beginning with the life of Siddhartha Gautama. The story begins over 2,500 years ago in a region that today includes parts of Nepal and northern India. Siddhartha Gautama was born into a royal family and lived a life of luxury and privilege. According to tradition, his father, the king, shielded him from the harsh realities of life. Siddhartha was kept within the palace walls where he enjoyed wealth, comfort, and every pleasure imaginable. As Siddhartha grew older, he became curious about the world outside. One day, he ventured beyond the palace and encountered what are now known as the Four Sights: an old man, a sick person, a corpse, and a holy man. These encounters changed him deeply. For the first time, Siddhartha saw the universal truths of aging, illness, and death, and he witnessed a peaceful ascetic seeking a different path. He realized that his life of pleasure could not shield him from suffering. This realization set him on a quest to understand the nature of suffering and the possibility of liberation from it. He left the palace, renouncing his royal life, his family, and all his possessions. For years, he wandered, studying with spiritual teachers and practicing extreme asceticism, hoping to find enlightenment. But despite his efforts, he felt no closer to understanding the nature of suffering. Finally, Siddhartha decided to follow a middle way between self-indulgence and self-denial. He sat under the Bodhi tree, vowing not to rise until he discovered the truth. After days of deep meditation, he experienced a profound awakening, seeing into the nature of existence. In that moment, Siddhartha Gautama became the Buddha, the awakened one. The Buddha's story teaches us that while comfort and pleasure can be satisfying, they don't necessarily lead to lasting happiness. His journey reflects our own quest for meaning and peace in a world that is often uncertain and challenging. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. Are there aspects where you seek comfort but feel something is missing? What might you discover by looking within, beyond the distractions? After attaining enlightenment, the Buddha wanted to share what he had discovered, and so he began teaching. His first sermon, known as the Setting in Motion the Wheel of Dharma, outlined what would become the foundation of Buddhism: the Four Noble Truths. Let's go through these Four Noble Truths together. The first noble truth, the truth of suffering, or dukkha. The Buddha's first teaching was that life involves suffering, or dukkha. This doesn't mean that life is only suffering, but that suffering is an inevitable part of human experience. Whether it's physical pain, emotional loss, or existential dissatisfaction, suffering touches everyone. Think about the stresses or struggles in your own life. This truth encourages us to recognize them openly without denial. Psychologists today suggest that acknowledging our struggles can actually empower us to face and manage them. Reflect on one aspect of life where you feel dissatisfaction. What would it be like to face it without avoidance? The second noble truth, the cause of suffering. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from tanha, often translated as craving or attachment. When we cling to pleasure, success, or security, we become vulnerable to suffering because everything we desire is impermanent. This craving extends beyond material possessions. It includes desires for recognition, approval, and control. Practice observing a desire as it arises. It could be something small, like a craving for a snack or a desire to check your phone. Notice how it feels and see if you can let it pass without acting on it. This small exercise can help you understand the nature of craving and how it can lead to dissatisfaction. The third noble truth, the end of suffering. The Buddha's third teaching is a message of hope. Suffering can end. When we let go of craving and attachment, we can find freedom. This state of liberation is known as nirvana, which is a profound peace and clarity beyond conventional happiness. To reflect, imagine what it might be like to let go of something you're clinging to, a relationship, an expectation, or even an old grievance. How might releasing this attachment bring a sense of relief or lightness? The fourth noble truth, the path to the end of suffering, or the Eightfold Path. The final truth is the path to end suffering, known as the Eightfold Path. This path is a practical guide to ethical and mental discipline that fosters wisdom and compassion. Let's now explore the Eightfold Path, which provides practical steps toward living a balanced and fulfilling life. The Eightfold Path is divided into three main areas: wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. 1. Wisdom, or panna, that includes right view, which means understanding reality as it is, including the Four Noble Truths. Right intention, meaning cultivating an attitude of kindness, renunciation, and compassion. 2. Ethical conduct, or sila. It includes right speech, which means speaking truthfully, avoiding gossip, and practicing kindness in words. Right action, which means acting in ways that do no harm to others. And right livelihood, meaning choosing work that is honest and ethical, avoiding harm to others. Let's do an exercise. Consider one area of your life where you could practice right speech or right action. Try spending a day observing how you communicate and interact with others. Notice if there are moments where you can bring more kindness and mindfulness into your interactions. 3. Mental discipline, or samadhi. It includes right effort, meaning cultivating positive states of mind and letting go of harmful ones. Right mindfulness, meaning practicing present moment awareness and attention. And right concentration, meaning developing deep focus, especially in meditation. To meditate, begin with a simple breathing exercise. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. Observe each inhale and exhale, allowing thoughts to come and go without attachment. This exercise, even for a few minutes, builds mindfulness and concentration. Buddhism's foundational teachings may seem ancient, but they address timeless human issues: suffering, desire, purpose, and peace. Today, Buddhist principles are widely applied in fields like psychology, healthcare, and even corporate settings to help people manage stress, cultivate resilience, and find balance. For example, mindfulness-based practices derived directly from Buddhist teachings are now widely used in mental health treatments. Programs like mindfulness-based stress reduction, pioneered by Dr. Jon Kabat-Zinn, help individuals reduce anxiety, manage pain, and find calm. When we learn to approach life with mindfulness and compassion, we engage more fully with ourselves and those around us. As we end this introductory episode, take a moment to set an intention for this journey. What drew you to explore Buddhism? Is there something in your life that you hope to understand more deeply or transform through these teachings? Take a few breaths and set a simple intention. It could be to approach life with more peace, to let go of a particular habit, or to find clarity in a challenging area. Carry this intention with you as we continue through the series, exploring themes of wisdom, compassion, meditation, and ethical living. Thank you for joining us on this first step of our journey through the School of Buddha. We've explored the foundational teachings of Buddhism, beginning with the story of the Buddha and his discovery of the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. These timeless teachings offer us tools to navigate life's challenges with understanding and compassion. In our next episode, we'll go deeper into the Four Noble Truths, examining how they provide insight into our everyday struggles and guide us toward peace. Until then, take a few moments each day to observe your breath and remember the Buddha's words: Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Welcome back to the School of Buddha. In today's episode, we'll be diving deep into one of Buddhism's central teachings, the Four Noble Truths. This core framework serves as a foundation for understanding the nature of suffering and the path toward liberation and peace. By the end of this episode, you'll have a clear, practical understanding of each truth, and we'll explore how these insights can be applied in modern life, guiding us through personal challenges and growth. So, just close your eyes and listen to the words by the Buddha himself. The first of the Four Noble Truths, dukkha, is often translated as suffering, but it encompasses a broader meaning. Dukkha refers to the dissatisfaction or unease that is part of the human experience. It includes not only physical pain or grief, but also the subtler underlying sense that life doesn't always meet our expectations. The Buddha taught that this feeling is universal. No matter our circumstances, whether we're facing hardship or enjoying life's pleasures, there is a sense of impermanence. Nothing stays the same. This impermanence creates a feeling of instability, which is often at the heart of our dissatisfaction. Consider the feeling of chasing success. Many of us work hard, striving for achievements or recognition, believing they'll bring lasting happiness. Yet, once we attain them, we find the satisfaction short-lived. This constant search for fulfillment often leaves us feeling incomplete. Think of a recent moment when you felt unsatisfied, even when things were going well. Try to connect with that feeling of unease. Rather than pushing it away, observe it without judgment. This awareness is the first step in understanding dukkha. The second noble truth addresses the cause of suffering, often referred to as tanha, which translates to craving or attachment. The Buddha taught that our desires, whether for pleasure, security, or control, are at the root of our dissatisfaction. Craving is not limited to physical objects. It also includes desires for relationships, experiences, and states of mind. This constant yearning for something more keeps us locked in a cycle of seeking and disappointment. There is a story of a man who, seeking relief from suffering, asks the Buddha how to find peace. The Buddha explains that trying to satisfy every craving is like trying to fill a cup with a hole at the bottom. No matter how much we pour in, it's never enough. This analogy reminds us that lasting peace is found not in external things, but in releasing our grasp on craving. Next time you feel a strong desire for something, pause and observe it. Ask yourself, what am I truly seeking with this? Often you'll find that underlying the desire is a deeper need for peace, security, or happiness. The third noble truth brings hope. Suffering can end. According to Buddhism, freedom from suffering is possible by letting go of craving. This state of liberation, called nirvana, is a profound peace beyond the ups and downs of daily life. Nirvana is not a place but a state of mind where one is free from the grip of desire, aversion, and ignorance. It is often described as a cooling of the fires of craving, leading to inner tranquility. Imagine letting go of something you've been holding on to, whether it's an old regret, a grudge, or an expectation. What would it feel like to be free from that burden? This exercise can help you experience, even briefly, the lightness that comes from letting go. The final noble truth is the way out of suffering, the Eightfold Path. This path offers practical guidance for cultivating wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline, helping us move from suffering to peace. In the next episode, we'll explore each step of the Eightfold Path in detail. Each of these practices supports a balanced, mindful life, helping us navigate challenges and cultivate compassion. The Four Noble Truths lay the foundation for Buddhist practice, offering insight into the nature of suffering and the possibility of liberation. By understanding these truths, we gain a roadmap for a life filled with peace and clarity. Take some time this week to reflect on these truths. Notice where suffering arises in your life and observe how craving plays a role. We'll explore these themes more in our next episode, where we'll go deeper into the Eightfold Path. Until then, Take a few moments each day to observe your breath and remember the Buddha's words, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Welcome back to the special podcast series on the School of Buddha. Today's episode is dedicated to the Eightfold Path, a practical guide in Buddhism that offers steps for cultivating a peaceful, ethical, and mindful life. So just close your eyes and get lost in the words by Buddha. The Eightfold Path is divided into three main areas: wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. We'll dive deep into each one, exploring how these principles can help us live with integrity, compassion, and awareness in a busy world. The first area, wisdom, includes right view and right intention, guiding us to see the world clearly and to set positive intentions. Right view involves understanding life as it truly is. It includes accepting the Four Noble Truths and seeing that suffering is a part of life, often arising from craving. Right view isn't about pessimism but realism, helping us see the impermanent nature of things. Right intention is about setting intentions of kindness, compassion, and renunciation. It encourages us to let go of harmful thoughts, like anger or greed, and to cultivate thoughts that lead to well-being for ourselves and others. I suggest you an exercise for wisdom. Before beginning your day, take a few moments to set an intention that aligns with kindness or compassion. Notice how this intention influences your actions and interactions throughout the day. The second area of the Eightfold Path, ethical conduct, involves right speech, right action, and right livelihood. These principles guide our interactions, encouraging honesty, integrity, and non-harm. Right speech focuses on speaking truthfully, kindly, and mindfully. The Buddha emphasized the importance of words as they have the power to create both harmony and harm. Right action involves living in a way that doesn't harm others, promoting kindness and integrity in all actions. Right livelihood encourages us to choose work that aligns with our values, avoiding professions that cause harm. To do practice for ethical conduct, try a mindful communication exercise. Throughout the day, observe your speech, aiming to speak truthfully and kindly. Notice the impact on your relationships when you communicate with this awareness. The third area, mental discipline, is about developing focus and mindfulness through right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Right effort means cultivating a positive mental state, avoiding negative thoughts and emotions. Right mindfulness encourages us to be present, observing our thoughts, feelings, and environment with a non-judgmental awareness. Right concentration involves training the mind to focus, particularly through meditation practices. To do mindfulness exercise, spend a few minutes each day observing your breath. When thoughts arise, gently bring your attention back to your breath. This practice helps build concentration and calm. The Eightfold Path is a practical, actionable guide for living with awareness, integrity, and peace. By integrating these teachings, we can cultivate a balanced life, one that is deeply mindful and compassionate. As you go through your week, consider focusing on one of these 8 steps, perhaps beginning with right speech or right mindfulness. See how these principles resonate with your daily life. In our next episode, we'll discuss the 3 jewels of Buddhism, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and their role as spiritual refuges. If you like this initiative, please like and subscribe to this channel and send this podcast to your loved ones. Please comment your views on this series and let me know if you would like to listen about other topics related to Buddhism. Until then, take a few moments each day to observe your breath and remember the Buddha's words, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome back to the School of Buddha. Today, we're exploring a profound topic, the 3 jewels of Buddhism, also known as the Triple Gem. These 3 jewels are foundational to Buddhist practice and serve as guiding principles and sources of support on the spiritual path. The 3 jewels are Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, essentially the teacher, the teachings, and the community. In Buddhism, taking refuge in these 3 jewels is seen as a commitment to the path of awakening. much like finding an anchor or compass to keep us steady and aligned. In today's episode, we'll examine each of these jewels in detail, reflect on their significance, and explore practical ways to connect with each jewel in daily life. Let's begin by looking at what it means to take refuge in the three jewels, and why this commitment is foundational in Buddhism. Taking refuge is a central practice in Buddhism. To take refuge means to turn to something for protection, guidance, and inspiration. In life, we often seek refuge in various ways, in relationships, possessions, or careers. But these external sources are impermanent and, at times, unreliable. Buddhism teaches that the true refuge lies within, the inner sanctuary of wisdom, compassion, and understanding. The three jewels represent these inner qualities. When we take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we're committing ourselves to a path of inner growth, truth, and ethical living. This act is often marked by a simple vow. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. This is not a passive declaration, but an active commitment to seeking wisdom, following ethical principles, and joining a supportive community. To reflect, think about where you currently seek comfort and guidance in your life. What sources of refuge feel secure, and which ones may feel unreliable? How might these sources compare to the stability offered by the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha? The first jewel is the Buddha, the one who has awakened and discovered the path to liberation. Siddhartha Gautama, who became the Buddha, represents the possibility of awakening within each of us. His life and teachings serve as a model and inspiration for anyone seeking to understand the nature of suffering and transcend it. The Buddha was born a prince, but after encountering the realities of aging, illness, and death, he embarked on a journey of spiritual exploration. After years of practice and self-discovery, he attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, realizing the Four Noble Truths and the path to freedom. His story illustrates that enlightenment is not reserved for deities or mystics, but is achievable by anyone committed to the path. The Buddha is often described with attributes like compassion, wisdom, and fearlessness. These qualities are not unique to him, but are part of our own potential. When we take refuge in the Buddha, we are also taking refuge in our capacity for growth, insight, and compassion. Let's explore these three, one by one. 1. Compassion. The Buddha's compassion was profound. Even after attaining enlightenment, he dedicated his life to helping others find peace and understanding. This compassion reminds us that part of our journey includes helping others along the way. 2. Wisdom. Wisdom is the insight into the true nature of reality. The Buddha taught that wisdom is not only intellectual but experiential, discovered through our own lives and practices. 3. Fearlessness. The Buddha approached life's challenges without fear. He faced doubt, temptation, and criticism with courage, teaching us that fear can be overcome through understanding and self-mastery. Reflect on these qualities and consider how you can embody them. For instance, practice compassion by listening mindfully to someone who needs support. Cultivate wisdom by observing your thoughts without judgment. And try courage by facing something you fear with a sense of curiosity and openness. The second jewel is the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha. Dharma is often translated as truth or the way things are. It encompasses the Buddha's teachings on ethics, meditation, and wisdom. The Dharma is not just a set of rules, but a guide for understanding the nature of reality and living in harmony with it. The Dharma exists independently of the Buddha's life. Even before his enlightenment, the truths he discovered, such as impermanence, interconnectedness, and non-attachment, existed in the natural world. The Buddha didn't create these truths, he revealed them, like a scientist uncovering the laws of nature. This is why the Dharma is often described as timeless and unchanging. It is always present, waiting to be discovered and practiced. Now, let's explore the core teachings of the Dharma. 1. The Four Noble Truths. As we explored in the previous episode, These truths provide insight into the nature of suffering and a path to liberation. 2. The Eightfold Path. This practical guide to right living helps us cultivate ethical conduct, wisdom, and mental discipline. 3. Impermanence. Impermanence is a foundational teaching that reminds us that everything is subject to change. Understanding impermanence helps us let go of attachments and live in the present. 4. No Self. The teaching of no self challenges our fixed sense of identity, encouraging us to see ourselves as fluid and interconnected with the world. 5. Interdependence. The Dharma emphasizes that all things arise in dependence on causes and conditions. This interconnectedness shapes our relationships and sense of responsibility. To reflect, choose one aspect of the Dharma, such as impermanence, and observe it in your life. Notice how things, emotions, situations, relationships are constantly changing. Reflect on how this awareness might affect your approach to life, helping you to appreciate moments fully and to release attachments. The third jewel is the Sangha, the community of practitioners who support each other on the path. Traditionally, the Sangha referred to the monastic community, but over time, it has come to include all those who practice the teachings of the Buddha, whether monks, nuns, or lay people. The Sangha is essential because the path to enlightenment is not meant to be walked alone. Practicing alongside others provides us with guidance, encouragement, and accountability. It reminds us that we are part of a greater whole, where each person's growth supports and enriches the growth of others. In a Sangha, we find a space to share our experiences, struggles, and insights. This mutual support is invaluable, as it allows us to learn from others' perspectives and to see that we're not alone in our challenges. The Sangha also provides a context for practicing compassion, patience, and forgiveness. Imagine joining a meditation group where you can share your journey, listen to others, and learn together. Many people find that practicing with others deepens their understanding and helps them stay committed, especially during times of doubt or difficulty. Today, Sanghas can take many forms. They might be traditional monastic communities, lay communities, or even online groups. The key is that a Sangha is a supportive environment where individuals are united by a shared commitment to the path. If you're part of a group, community, or even a friendship circle that supports your growth, take a moment to appreciate it. If you're not currently part of a Sangha, consider seeking out a meditation group, book club, or online community where you can find support and connection on your spiritual journey. The three jewels offer us a refuge, a source of strength, and a reminder of our potential. Let's explore how to connect with each of these jewels in our daily lives. 1. Connecting with the Buddha. Find inspiration by learning about the Buddha's life and teachings. Reading stories or biographies of the Buddha can deepen your connection and serve as a reminder of your own potential for growth and compassion. Practice embodying the Buddha's qualities. Start each day with an intention to practice kindness, wisdom, or courage, drawing strength from these universal qualities. 2. Connecting with the Dharma. Engage with the teachings regularly. This could be through reading, listening to talks, or discussing the Dharma with others. Revisit core teachings like the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, allowing them to guide your decisions and mindset. Reflect on the Dharma in daily life. Observe impermanence, interconnectedness, and compassion in your experiences. Practice mindfulness to stay aware of these truths in each moment. 3. Connecting with the Sangha. Find or build a community that shares your interest in Buddhism or spiritual growth. Many people find support in meditation groups, Buddhist centers, or online communities. Offer support to others in your Sangha, whether through listening, sharing your insights, or volunteering. By giving to the community, you strengthen your connection and contribute to a shared journey. As we conclude this episode, take a moment to reflect on the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Think about what it might mean to take refuge in these jewels, to see them not as external ideals, but as reflections of qualities within yourself, your potential for wisdom, your dedication to truth, and your capacity for connection. Buddhism teaches that by taking refuge in the three jewels, we embark on a path of inner peace and liberation. This commitment isn't about perfection, but about gradually integrating wisdom, compassion, and mindfulness into each aspect of life. As we move forward, let this refuge serve as a foundation, a source of strength and guidance. In our next episode, we'll dive into the concept of karma and rebirth, exploring how our actions shape our experiences and our path. Thank you for joining the School of Buddha. May the three jewels inspire you and light your way. Welcome back to the School of Buddha. I'm your host and fellow student of Buddha from the land of Buddha. Today, we're venturing into one of the most fascinating and sometimes misunderstood aspects of Buddhism, karma, and rebirth. These concepts have permeated popular culture, often reduced to ideas like what goes around comes around. But in Buddhism, karma and rebirth hold profound spiritual significance, providing a framework for understanding the moral consequences of our actions, the continuity of consciousness, and the journey of the self across lifetimes. Imagine for a moment that each thought, word, and action you take is like a stone tossed into a pond. The ripples spread out, affecting everything in their path. Karma, in its essence, is like that ripple effect, a continuous flow of cause and effect. It isn't about punishment or reward, but rather the natural unfolding of actions and consequences. And as we'll see, karma's reach isn't confined to a single lifetime. It's connected to the idea of rebirth, which suggests that our consciousness doesn't vanish upon death, but continues to evolve and carry forward the imprints of our actions. But let's start at the beginning. The word karma comes from the Prakrit word kri, which simply means action or deed. So when we talk about karma in Buddhism, we're talking about action, specifically intentional action. This is a key point. It's not merely about what we do, but why and how we do it. The intention behind our actions plays a crucial role in shaping the effects of karma. For instance, an action taken out of compassion carries a different karmic weight than one motivated by greed or anger. The Buddha taught that karma operates on both an individual and collective level. On an individual level, our actions shape our personal experiences and the state of our mind. Think of times when you've acted out of kindness. Even if the immediate outcome wasn't visible, you may have felt a sense of inner peace. Conversely, actions rooted in anger or selfishness might lead to inner turmoil. This is karma at work, our inner world reflecting the choices we make. But karma also plays out on a larger collective scale. Communities, societies, and even the world are shaped by collective actions. When kindness and compassion are predominant, harmony follows. When greed and aggression prevail, suffering increases. Now, you might wonder, if everything we do creates karma, does that mean we're bound by every small action? Are we trapped in an endless cycle of consequences? Buddhism answers this question with a gentle but powerful reminder. While we are influenced by our past karma, we are not completely bound by it. Each moment, each breath, offers an opportunity for change. The choices we make now can transform the ripples of past actions. This is why mindfulness and awareness are so emphasized in Buddhism. They empower us to act with intention, to break negative cycles, and to cultivate positive karma. And this brings us to a fascinating aspect of karma. It's not only our actions that matter, but also the mindset we cultivate. In Buddhist teachings, mental states are considered seeds of karma. For example, the mental states of anger, greed, and ignorance are referred to as the three poisons because they create harmful karma. They cloud our judgment, leading to actions that cause suffering for ourselves and others. In contrast, qualities like compassion, generosity, and wisdom are seen as positive seeds, creating karma that leads to well-being and happiness. Let's pause here to reflect on this. Think about a time when you acted out of anger or fear. What were the immediate effects, and how did it feel in the days that followed? Now, think about a time you acted out of kindness or generosity. Notice the difference. This reflection shows us the subtle ways in which our mental states shape our experiences. As we become more aware of this, we can begin to see karma as less of a mystical force and more as a natural psychological process. A process that encourages us to cultivate qualities that support well-being. And here's where rebirth comes in. In Buddhism, karma doesn't stop with the end of this life. Rather, it carries forward, shaping the conditions of future lives. Rebirth isn't viewed as a simple continuation of the self. It's more like a passing of influence. Imagine a candle lighting another candle. The flame continues, but it's not the exact same flame. In the same way, rebirth suggests that our consciousness, shaped by our karmic actions, flows into a new life after death, carrying with it the imprints of past experiences, emotions, and tendencies. The Buddha taught that rebirth happens within 6 realms: the human realm, the animal realm, the realm of hungry ghosts, the realm of the jealous gods, the heavenly realms, and the hellish realms. Each realm represents different mental and emotional states rather than physical places. For example, the human realm is associated with balance, where both joy and suffering are present. The heavenly realms represent states of temporary pleasure, while the hellish realms represent intense suffering born of negative karma. The realms are not a final destination, but rather a temporary state shaped by our karma, with each lifetime providing an opportunity for growth. One story that illustrates the principle of karma and rebirth is the story of Angulimala, a feared bandit who had killed many people. When he encountered the Buddha, he was transformed by the Buddha's compassion and teachings, renouncing his life of violence and becoming a monk. Despite his change of heart, Angulimala still experienced the consequences of his past actions. Villagers often treated him with suspicion and even hostility. Yet, through his new life of kindness and compassion, he gradually purified his karma. Angulimala's story reminds us that while past actions shape present experiences, they do not determine our future. Transformation is always possible. This idea of change, of transformation, is one of the most empowering aspects of karma and rebirth. Each moment presents an opportunity to shift our karmic path. Imagine karma as a stream flowing through a forest. You may not be able to change its entire course immediately, but by carefully redirecting it over time, you can influence the flow, leading it toward a new direction. Similarly, we can redirect our lives by being mindful of our thoughts, words, and actions, aligning them with our highest intentions. So, how do we work with karma in our daily lives? Buddhism offers several practices for cultivating positive karma and purifying negative karma. One of these is the practice of generosity. Generosity is considered one of the most powerful ways to create positive karma. When we give without expecting anything in return, we cultivate a sense of abundance, breaking free from attachment and cultivating inner joy. Generosity can be expressed in many ways: sharing resources, offering time, or even lending a listening ear to someone in need. Another powerful practice is that of loving kindness, or metta. Through metta, we cultivate goodwill toward all beings, wishing them happiness and peace. Practicing metta creates a ripple effect, transforming not only our immediate relationships, but also our broader environment. When we hold an attitude of kindness, we naturally create conditions that foster positive karma. Forgiveness is another essential practice. The Buddha taught that holding on to anger and resentment only intensifies suffering, creating a karmic cycle of pain. Forgiving doesn't mean condoning harmful actions. Rather, it means releasing ourselves from the burden of resentment. By forgiving, we free ourselves, making space for healing and growth. Reflect for a moment on someone in your life whom you have yet to forgive. Imagine letting go of that resentment, freeing yourself from its weight. This act of release is a profound way to purify karma. And then there's mindfulness, the practice of observing our thoughts, emotions, and actions with awareness. Mindfulness is essential for understanding karma because it allows us to see the immediate effects of our actions. When we're mindful, we're less likely to act out of impulse, creating space to choose actions that align with our values. Think of mindfulness as a mirror that reflects our true intentions, helping us to recognize patterns and adjust them. One common question that arises when we discuss karma and rebirth is, how does this work if we don't remember our past lives? Buddhism teaches that even if we don't consciously remember our previous lives, the effects of past actions are embedded in our tendencies, inclinations, and reactions. For instance, some people are naturally inclined toward compassion, while others might struggle with anger. These tendencies may be karmic imprints from past lives. Our task is not necessarily to remember our past lives, but to observe and transform the patterns we encounter in this life. As we explore these teachings, it's important to remember that karma is not deterministic. Buddhism emphasizes free will and personal responsibility. We're not trapped by our karma, rather, we're continually shaping it. Each thought, word, and deed is an opportunity to create positive karma, to cultivate peace, and to plant seeds that will blossom in this life and beyond. Karma and rebirth are complex ideas, but at their heart, they offer a message of hope, that our choices matter, that we can change, and that every moment holds the potential for awakening. As we bring this episode to a close, I invite you to reflect on the journey of karma and rebirth in your own life. Consider the choices you've made, the seeds you're planting, and the patterns you see unfolding. Remember, it's never too late to redirect your path, to cultivate kindness, to practice compassion, and to break free from cycles of suffering. The beauty of karma lies in its flexibility, its invitation to grow and evolve. Each moment offers a fresh beginning. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of karma and rebirth. I hope this episode has given you insight into these teachings and perhaps sparked a desire to observe your actions and intentions with greater awareness. If you like this initiative, please comment your thoughts below. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Since I do not get any monetary support, only your subscription and comments act as a motivation for me to keep making more videos. In our next episode, we'll be delving into the practice of meditation, a foundational tool in Buddhism for cultivating clarity, mindfulness, and inner peace. Until then, may the seeds you plant be ones of kindness, compassion, and wisdom.